I'm going to soak my fruit for my Christmas cake. So the thing with this is just be prepared, have everything all done out. I'll put up the quantities and the ingredients and everything in a small while, but I have my mixed fruit, I have my sultanas, my raisins, my apricots, I have my cherries. Make sure you rinse them and half them. I have the zest and the juice of 2 oranges. I have some brandy and I have some Guinness, and I have a little helper. So all we're going to do is you're going to put all that into a big bowl, mix it, and then cover it and leave it. It says in a lot of recipes to leave it for 24 hours. My mom used to always leave it for about 3 or 4 days just for it to soak up all of the brandy and the Guinness. So we will be leaving it for 3 or 4 days. That's it, good girl.
I'm saving the best for last.
Good.
Please.
All in. Okay, don't worry about it.
There, I got all of it.
Now your round of your orange and your juice. Be careful with that now, don't spill it. That's it, perfect. Now we're going to add our brandy into that, and I'm going to add half of the can of Guinness. I'm just going to mix it well just to make sure that every bit of it is all mixed in with all that lovely juice and Guinness and brandy. Going to put some cling film over it, make sure it's well sealed that no air is going to get into it, and leave it sit for 3 days. So that's it, it's all sealed up now, and I am going to put that into the fridge inside in the other room and leave it sitting, and it'll be amazing because it smells fab. Day 2 of the fruit soaking, so make sure you give it a good stir, and all that liquid is all soaked up now. So if you want to, you can start baking your cake now. A lot of recipes call for it to be done in 24 hours, but I'm doing it my mama's way, which is leave it for another few days. Day 3 of my fruit soaking. The smell is unreal, it's so nice. So just make sure every day you give it a nice good stir and back into the fridge. What day is it? Monday, so I think I'll probably bake it tomorrow, so that will be 4 days of it steeping, so that should do. I'm just prepping my stuff now because I'm going to cook the Christmas cake this afternoon. So one of the most important things that you have to do is take your eggs out of the fridge if you have them in the fridge. So you need 4 eggs because they need to be at room temperature, and your butter as well. It has to be at room temperature. It just makes things a lot easier, and it's much better for the eggs if they're not too cold. So I'm just going to weigh out everything, have them all in their bowls, and just be prepared for when the kids come home because Grace wants to help me. So I have the butter weighed out, so it's 250 grams, well that's 251, but 250 grams of butter. So I'm just going to cover that, but leave it out of the fridge so it'll be nice and soft when I'm ready to mix it. So I have brown sugar, 250 grams, and 251 again, seems to be a theme. So of the sugar weighed out, I'll type all this up and I'll print it so anyone that wants it can screenshot it. So 275 grams of plain flour, that's that ready there with the rest of the bits. So what I'm going to do now is I have all spices and stuff like that, so I'm just going to put them into a small bowl and have them ready as well. So it's a teaspoon of mixed spice, so I'm just going to pop that in there. And that's it really. So all I have to do now later on is, when these are at room temperature, is cream them together, add in my sugar, add in my flour, give them a good mix around, and then add it to my lovely cake fruit mixture that is still soaking. So today's day 4 of the fruit being soaking in the brandy and Guinness. Now it also calls for treacle, but I don't have any treacle in the house, and I wouldn't use it, but I do have golden syrup, so similar enough. So I'm going to use this. So it's a tablespoon of the golden syrup that I'll be putting in as well. But if you have treacle, then use that because that would be better. But I'm not going buying treacle just for a tablespoon. I'm going to prepare my dish now. So a 9-inch dish, if you can get one that the base actually comes out, it makes it a lot easier to remove your cake when it's done. So you have your dish, you're going to need some greaseproof paper. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to put butter all around the inside of this. Make sure this is well covered with butter, and then I'm going to line it with my greaseproof paper. That is that buttered now. This is the most important part of doing this cake, I think, because the last thing you want is for it to stick. So you have your paper cut in a nice circle, so you're going to put a piece on the bottom first and then all the way around the side. That's the bottom layer. And a tip that I got last night was to crunch up your paper because it makes it more pliable, so easier to put it around the sides when you straighten it out. So that's that. It looks very messy at the moment, but I'm going to put another bottom layer on that now of my circular paper just to make sure that the underneath of it doesn't burn. That's that bit done now. So what I'm going to do now is I have another little bit of butter. I'm going to put it in the microwave and melt it, and I'm going to get my brush and I'm going to brush all the inside of this to make sure that it is nice and covered, and that is it then, all ready for when Grace comes home to start making it. Also, if you've had your fruit in your fridge, take it out as well so that that's at room temperature, because you don't want that too cold going in with the mixture. So I've taken them out and have the eggs out and the butter out, so they all need to be at room temperature before you start baking. We are going to start with our cake now. I got treacle off a neighbour, so I'm going to use it. So it's a tablespoon of this. We're going to add our treacle, our butter and our sugar, and we're going to cream them up just with a mixer or hand blender. Is it nice, Grace?
No.
She doesn't like the smell of the treacle. So I'm just going to cream that together now. I forgot to, when I was typing out the recipe, to add sugar to it. So yeah, you put your butter, your sugar and your treacle together and cream them up, and then add your eggs and then fold in your flour. We're going to add our flour and our spice mix.
Spice mix?
Yeah, there's all spice. Our mixed spice gone into that, Grace. So I'm going to shake that in, make sure there's no lumps in it, and just fold it in nice and gently. Want to try it?
Yeah.
Girl,
I think I've done this before.
you have? Okay, so you want to make sure it's well mixed all the way down to the bottom and that there is no flour left over. So you want this nice thick kind of a gloopy kind of a texture. So now we're either going to add that to the fruit or the fruit to that. So I think we might add this because this bowl is a bit bigger.
And all that fruit
What do you think?
fit in there.
No, I don't think all that fruit will fit. So we might add this one to there and give it a good all mix. You ready?
Yes.
So that's done. So just give that a real good mix in, and I forgot to say make sure your oven is preheating because you want it nice and hot. So that's it. It's ready for the oven now, but there is an old wives' tale that whoever is in the house at the time you are baking, you get them to each give it a mix and make a wish. So, come on, Grace. Now give that a mix and make a wish. Girl.
I wish I...
Don't tell us your wish. Close your eyes and make a wish. Good boy. Okay, so that's in there now. So you have to just make sure it's nice and even all the way. And there's no air bubbles on the side of it. And that looks lovely and it smells fab. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get another little bit of greaseproof paper in a circle and just put it on top. and then into the oven. We're going to put it into the oven for 4 to 4.5 hours, but for the first 2 hours we can't open the oven, otherwise it could sink, the fruit could sink to the bottom. So after 2 hours I will just check it to make sure that I'm happy with the colour, and then go from there.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
So it's been 2 hours in now, so I've just checked it and it's coming on lovely, and there's a lovely colour to it. So I've just put an extra layer around it and tied it in a string, just because I don't want the outside to burn, and one on top. And I'm going to put it back in now for another 2 hours and then check it. And when you're checking it, you want to put a skewer down through it, and the skewer has to come out nice and clean, not sticky, nothing on it, just nice and clean, and that's how you'll know it's done. So it is looking good, but it is still moist in the right in the middle, so I've just done the skewer, so I'm going to put them back in. So that's been in 4 hours and 15 minutes, so I'm going to put it back in for another 20 minutes and then check it again. So that's it, the Christmas cake is done. So now what we have to do is leave it completely cool down and then wrap it well. So you leave the greaseproof paper wrapped around it and then wrap that in tin foil. And what my mum used to always do then is she used to get a clean tea towel and wrap that around the tin foil, so it's really well wrapped. And then just once or twice a week you just have to feed it with brandy, and that's what it's calling, is feeding it. So I'm going to show you how I do that when I do it. I'm not going to be showing you every single time I do it because it's going to be for the next 5 weeks, but I'll show you the first time and she'll get the gist of it then. So all it is just put skewers, just a couple of skewers down through the, flip it over and the underneath of it, and then a teaspoon of brandy, and just spread it around. But I'll show you when I'm doing it, and then wrap it up again, and it'll be all ready then for decorating it. So decorate it just before Christmas, about a week before Christmas. Now there's a few different ways of decorating it, and everybody is completely different. Our house here, nobody in this house likes marzipan, so you can do the traditional way, and you roll out your marzipan, put it on the cake, roll out your icing, put that over the marzipan, and that's it. That's the traditional way. There's also a way that you can do it where you just get your apricot jam, heat it up in the microwave, and so a little bit so it's easier to spread that around the cake, roll out your icing, and then on top of the jam will help for the icing to stick to the cake. So that's another way of doing it. Or then the simplest way to do it, which is probably the way that we're going to do it, because the kids wouldn't eat the apricot jam. I don't even know if they'll eat the cake, but I don't know which way I will do it, but the easiest way to do it then, and the way that my mum did it once or twice, now she's done it all different ways, but is you got the big ribbon, you know, the Christmas ribbon, you can buy them in Home Store more, and you just put that around the outside of it, and then you get your sieve and some icing sugar, and you just literally dust the top of it with icing sugar, put on your little figurines and stuff. So the kids picked out their own decorations for the cake the last day when we were in Home Store more. They had little Santas and trees and penguins and stuff like that. So I think that's probably the way we'll go with the ribbon around it and the icing sugar and the decorations. But that is it. So yeah, it's very, very easy to make, but it's just very long-winded. That's the only thing. It takes days and it takes a lot of time, but it's really... So if you haven't made it before and you just want to give it a go, then try. I mean, the worst can happen. It can burn. That's the only thing really, or the fruit will sink. And the other way the fruit will sink is if you open the oven door before the 2 hours. And when you are opening the oven door and closing the oven door, you do it very, very gently, because if you bang it closed, that fruit will sink down to the bottom of the cake. So that's it. So just give it a go. Yeah. Okay, I am going to show you how you feed the Christmas cake. So this is the bottom of the cake here. I'm going to show you this just once because I'm going to be doing this twice a week for the next 5 weeks, and it's exactly the same thing. So all you need is your skewer, you need some brandy and a spoon. So all you're going to do is just at intervals, every now and again, just poke little holes in it. That's it. And you just literally just putting the brandy just over there, so it's going to drip down all into the cake. So what this does is it gives it that lovely rich flavour, but it also helps to preserve. It'll help to preserve it so that it'll last a lot longer. Once it's wrapped airtight in your foil or in your greaseproof paper, your foil, and then either a tea towel or something over it, or in an airtight container, just something like that, it will last for months. So that's it. So just a nice little drizzle of your brandy just over it, making sure you get it all into where you put your little holes. That's it. So I'm going to do this every, what day is today? Today is Wednesday. So I'm going to do it every Wednesday and every Sunday until I am ready to decorate it and get it ready for Christmas. I'm going to ice my Christmas cake now. So I've had this wrapped up for the last couple of weeks. I've been feeding it with brandy every now and again. It smells amazing. So nobody in the house likes marzipan, so I'm not going to be putting it on. What I'm going to do is I have apricot jam. So that is going to be in between the cake and the icing, just to help stick it on. Just put some into a bowl, and I'm going to put this into the microwave to warm it, so it'll be easier to brush on the cake. So that's it. You just need a very, very thin layer just on top of it and around it. It's just going to help to adhere the icing onto the cake, and it is really yummy. It is much nicer than marzipan. I think that's because I don't like marzipan.